Author's Log 1, Day 100. I'm 5 novels into my goal and fading fast. We're running low on coffee and kibble. The hellhounds are talking mutiny. Morale is low, but still, I persevere. 1 year, 17 published works. That's my plan for 2019. Somebody hold me. First, I'm going to show you my work boards. Here's this board, which you can now see, and it's got a whole lot of pictures on it, stickies on it. Let's talk first about the stickies, because number one, that's a whole lot of stickies. 17 to be exact. Number two, that's a whole lot of stickies. First, what's up with the stickies? The whole idea is that means I can move them, take them off, throw them away if I need to, juggle them around to different places depending on how I want to organize my publication schedule. This is really important because in the business of writing novels, you've got to be flexible. If series 1 is taking off, or I managed to get a BookBub feature deal, or Oprah tells the world this is her favorite book in the world, then I need to be ready to throw everything else aside and focus on that particular series as far as marketing, promotion, new releases, etc. go. Yes, I'm a creative person and muse is important, but a well-trained muse is the difference between being a starving artist in a 5x8 studio apartment in Cleveland and running a publishing business that actually pays for things like the mortgage, a reliable car, the occasional steak dinner. But taming your muse is a discussion for another vlog. So on to my board. Actually, I'm going to back up. I'm going to back way up. I'm actually going to back 7 years up. That's how far I'm going to back up. And I'm going to talk about the first year I published, the year I published A Demon Bound. That first year, in 2012, I published 2 novels and a novella. A Demon Bound, that very first novel, took me 2 years to write. I kind of got some ideas. I wrote some various scenes. I thought a bit about maybe a plot. I jumbled some things around. I did a lot of jogging. I did a lot of thinking. I drank some wine. It took me a while, but eventually, after 2 years, I had that novel. It was polished. It had been revised several times and was ready to go. And I published it in late June of 2012. About that time, I had book 2 pretty well far along. In October, I published book 2, and then the Imp prequel novella I published towards the end of that year. So, year 1, 2 novels, 1 novella. Year 2, I published 3 novels and 2 erotic short stories. Now, I can't write erotica, so they turned out to be sort of spicy rom-com short stories that obviously never took off. They're not even available anymore. But basically 3 novels. So what happened is during that time, I started diverging out of the Imp series. I had written A Demon Bound, Satan's Sword, Elven Blood, Devil's Paw, and Imp Forsaken. So, and Devil's Paw I had to quickly follow with Imp Forsaken because it had a little bit of a cliffhanger in it, if you remember. So that was when I was writing the Imp series, and I decided at the end of year 2 that I was going to start writing some spin-offs with some other additional characters in them. So year 3, I went on and did some various spin-off novels. Year 4, I was publishing 5 novels in year 4. And when I went to my financial advisor, I was like, can I quit my day job? Because at that point I was making some pretty consistently decent money. And he asked me, he said, how many books do you think you can put out a year maximum? And I was like, killing myself doing 5 novels. This is it. This is like, in fact, I might just do 3 or 4 a year, and 5 is like pushing it. Oh my gosh, that's the maximum I can ever do, even if I quit my day job. Well, I decided to like hang in there a little bit more on my day job. So year 4, I kept my day job. Year 5, what do? I published 8 novels that year. 8 books. Yeah, it was crazy. So, and that's the year I decided in year 5 that I was going to quit my job. My mother passed away that year. It was kind of tough for me. And I kind of put the M series on hold because I felt like that was a series that I just wasn't in a good headspace to continue it. So that's why there was that bit of a delay there in that year. But I published other things. I published the Northern Wolves series. I got to working on my Libby Howard books, which are my cozy mystery books, which were very close to my mother's heart. She was a huge mystery fan. She's one of my biggest fans, but she was an enormous mystery fan. And we talked a lot when she was ill with cancer about that particular series, the different characters in that series, and she was so excited for that series. And one of my regrets is that I was not able to get that first book out before she passed away, but I know somewhere she is happy about that series. So I have that. So 8 novels in year 5, way more than that 5 that I thought would be my absolute maximum. So then in year 6, I ended up doing, that's last year, I ended up doing 11 novels in a novella. Yeah, so 11 novels. So here I am in year 7, 2019, and I'm looking at 17 novels. Yeah, crazy. 17 novels. Before you guys go all Greek tragedy on me, saying you can't do more than 2 or 3 books and they're not going to be great quality, blah, blah, blah. Let me remind you of me sitting in my advisor's office, my financial advisor's office, saying 5 was my maximum, absolute stretch, and 3 year was more like my average. So stick with me. In another vlog, I'll discuss taming your muse, slowly increasing productivity with realistic and well thought out word count goals. And then I'll probably also discuss what pushing yourself too hard really does to your mental, emotional, and physical health. But that's another vlog. So, an aside, each genre and each series has different length requirements. So, first off, my sci-fi series, well, the one book in my sci-fi series that I put out, those are around 100,000 word novels. My cozy series under Libby Howard, those run between 50 and 60,000 word novels. Accidental Witches, which is my light, cozy, paranormal romance series, those also run between 50 and 60,000 words, where my traditional urban fantasies, like A Demon Bound, the Imp series, and the Templar series starting with Dead Rising, those series tend to be in the 85 to 95, somewhere, sometimes edging up to about 100,000 words. So genres, each of them have different series, different word count lengths. So as you see where I'm going here, writing a whole lot of 50,000 word novels is easier than writing a whole lot of 90,000 word novels. So right there, 17 novels sounds like a lot, but remember that 7 of those novels are slated to be in the Accidental Witches series, which is much shorter. That allows me to get those in. So that's take number 1. Another consideration with why I'm pushing myself so hard and writing all these novels is that I have multiple series. When I'm running multiple series, I'm forced to up my writing efficiency and my volume of output because you've got to keep all those series alive. You can't just go, like unfortunately I did with the Templar series, you can't just go for 2 years and not have a series release because people forget about your series and they don't remember, and then they have to go back and reread the books, or they totally forget to pick up the new parts of the series, and you get significant drop off in your readership of the series when you don't release within a certain time frame. At one point, I tried to narrow things down to 2 series. I tried. I closed out 2 series in my Maid World in 1 year. I closed out my main imp series the next year with the intention of doing a spin-off. So basically, I had closed down, I did Northern Wolves, which was a short series. I closed down Half Breed series and finished that one up. I wrote all the Angel books, finishing with Penance, so that was done. And then last year I finished out the Imp series, the Book of 10 series. So I was like, oh yay, I've finished those out, narrowed things down. So that left me with maybe a new Imp World spin-off series that I was going to do, the Templar series, and then my pen name Cozy. So 3 series, 3 releases a year in each series. That would be 9 releases a year. Very doable, right? No. Because heaven forbid I do anything like that that would be, easy on me. No. Instead, I got this great idea for this alternate history, 1920s, sword and sorcery, magic user thing. And I knew I didn't have the bandwidth to write it myself. I had way too much going on. I had too many other commitments, but I thought I can do a co-writing project. So I got together with J.P. Sloan because I felt like this particular series was right in his wheelhouse. And I was like, oh, this will be great because it will cut the amount of work I have to do in the series in half. And I do have to say there are some time savings in having a co-writing project, but not nearly half, not anywhere near. There's so much collaboration and work that goes back and forth as we work together to come up with the outlines. And then basically he does the draft based off the outline that we've agreed upon, and then I do the revisions on that. And it ends up being a lot more work than I thought. So there I go. I've got 3 series. No, now I've got White Lightning series, and that's 4. So now that's 4 series I'm up to. Oh, but then there's this joint theme paranormal romance that's sort of a light, cozy, funny romance, and the emphasis is on the funny, and I do funny, and that sounds like a lot of fun. And I had this idea with witches, and it would be fun to do a witches series. So yeah, I could do that, and I'll do maybe 3 novels, maybe 7 if it takes off. Well, guess what? That ended up being Accidental Witches, and while it's not burning up the bestseller charts, it is a very good selling series. So I've committed to 7 novels in that series. That's 5 series. So yeah, so I'm back with 5 series. So the idea is you always have to plan for a Powerball win. You always have to be flexible. So if I've got any of these series that really starts taking off, like I said earlier, I have to move the stickies around on the board and reprioritize. So the first book in my Accidental Witches series released pretty well. It released better than most of my other spin-off series do. So I made the decision to release 7 of those books instead of 5 or instead of 3. So right there, that added, instead of 13 books that I was going to release this year, that's how I got up to 17. So that was my decision. And this is where, when you've got multiple series, that the going gets tough. It's just a huge juggling act. You can't let any of these plates fall, because once they do, it's really hard to get them up and going again. Like I mentioned, you've got to release things fairly quickly and fairly frequently, or else your readership lags. And I've got readers that only read certain series. I've got readers that only read the Imp series. I've got readers that read Imp and Templar, but don't necessarily like my more romancy books. I've got readers that prefer Accidental Witches, but aren't interested in the Imp series because it's got too much language in it for them. I need to keep all those readers happy. I can't sacrifice any of those series. I've got to keep them all going. So that's where the work comes in. So 5 series. That's a lot of plates in the air, as I said. So I can't let any of these plates fall. What am I going to do? I schedule and I plan. I prioritize my better selling series, and I can't let the others die. So I've got 7 Accidental Witches going. I've got 2 Templar books releasing this year because I've got to get Those books are selling well, and I've got to keep going with those. I've got the last two White Lightning books that are going to be releasing this year. I've got my Libby Howard cozies that I will release 3 or 4 this year. I've already put one of those out. And then right now, my Imp spin-off series, Poseidon's Daughter, is kind of pushed into 2020 because I just don't have bandwidth for it. But instead, to keep Imp fans going, I have a novella from Sam's point of view that's going to be coming this year. And then towards the end of the year, I have a surprise super secret project that will have some very well-loved Imp characters in it as well. So that was my plate that I needed to keep going, that I was worried about, because I can't just let the Imp series fall. The last book released last fall. I just can't not have anything in the Imp world or Imp series this year. So that novella is hopefully going to keep my Imp fans going. And then my super secret project at the end of the year will hopefully keep you guys going until Poseidon's Daughter releases next year. So I'm hoping that that novella will satisfy everybody. So that's a bunch of super aggressive goals on my part. We'll see what happens. If things get crazy, I mean, obviously I haven't accounted for life. I mean, something could happen. I could get ill. A family tragedy could strike. I could just burn out. And if that happens, then I'm going to need to juggle stuff around. I'll need to prioritize what's selling while keeping in mind that I have to keep all my series afloat. And I'll just have to make some hard decisions on them. So far, here we are, and we are past the first quarter of the year. And I've got, let's see, let me look at my board. I've got 4 Accidental Witch books. The 4th one releases May. So I've got those written and done. I've got one of my Cozy Mysteries written and done. And the Templar book is halfway in draft and will be releasing in June. So far, so good. The rest of the year, I'll have to finish out the remaining 3 Accidental Witch series books, another Templar book, the novella, the super secret project, and I'd like to get 3 more Cozy Mysteries in there somewhere. And it's a lot of switching because each of those series is different, and I've got to get my mindset to kind of switch back and forth between them. And because I overlap my writing, I'm actually writing 2 books at the same time. One's usually in draft while the other's in revision. That's tough too, because that's sort of like being a Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde character there. But I got it. That's my board, and I'm going to do it. I'm going to do this. And if I do, we are going to be celebrating with a glass of wine and party hats at the end of the year. So let me know what you think. Let me know if you think I can do it or not, or if I'm going to go crazy, if I'm going to gain 100 pounds from sitting on my butt and eating snacks as I write, or what's going to happen. So I'm going to try and do this, and I hope you guys will be there for me. Let me know in the comments what you think. If you like this vlog series, please leave a tip in my tip jar at my Patreon page. I'll put the link below. For just $1 a day, you can support this vlog, which I intend to put out weekly with all sorts of crazy stuff, not just businessy stuff, but fun, crazy stuff from my life too. So just $1 a day, you can support me in my tip jar. And for more than $1 a day, actually for even $1 a day, but for more than that, you get a whole lot of cool stuff. But for $1 a day, you get some extra little freebies that you don't normally get. And for more than $1 a day, you can get a whole lot of freebies, depending on what level you'd like to support me at. And if it's not in your budget, that's cool. Keep watching the vlog and enjoy, and I will talk to you all later. Bye.